Hello and welcome to the first multi-panel episode of Gully to Gully. We've got a couple of new faces on the channel. We've got Uzaib here representing Pakistan and one of Bharat Army's finest, represent one of only 1 billion that we could find to join us. Ajay joining us representing India.
Jeetega, Jeetega,
And
India,
the
Jeetega.
only person I know who actually goes to work in his Indian cricket jersey, I have to
I,
say.
I don't do that. I don't do that. I'd love to. I don't do that.
That's
Anyway,
what
good to see you
get.
guys.
Good to see you. Hopefully, we'll keep this clean and like the Indian and Pakistan team do have been doing in recent times in the dressing room, being all chummy. But this is India Pakistan, so there'll always be some banter. But we'll go through what we think is going to happen on the big match on Saturday, which surprisingly has its own opening ceremony and star cast attending, which is a bit questionable given that the World Cup itself had none of it. But anyways, but first things first, let's start off with the most recent games for India and Pakistan. Pakistan obviously with that fantastic chase against Sri Lanka, and India had this random warm-up game in the middle of the World Cup. I wonder how that went for them. But I'll open the floor to everyone.
Yeah, I think let's start with Pakistan. Given that it was the first one, so I thought it was very impressive. What was really impressive to me, right, was Abdullah Shafiq. He's replacing Fakhar Zaman, who's by all accounts he's not been in great form, but he's won so many matches for Pakistan. He's come in 50 odd for 40 odd for two. You've lost Babar Azam. He's got the calmness to just stay there until the 20th, 25th over, playing at 4.5, 5 runs and over, and then realizing, right, we're now at 8 runs and over, and then having the game to accelerate. And more than we know Rizwan. Rizwan's a quality player. We know that he's got it in him, right? But I thought Abdullah Shafiq was absolutely brilliant, and I think he solved a huge problem for the Pakistan team. Just want to quickly touch on Sri Lanka. I thought they've been really disappointing, unfortunately. Matisha Patirana, I'm a CSK fan, right? I love Patirana.
You mean Dhoni Rana?
Dhoni Rana, come
Rana,
on.
yeah. Dhoni treated him like his own boy. He was absolutely brilliant in the IPL. But unfortunately, his form in the 20-over format has not translated into 50-over format. He was spraying it around. I think he's bowled like 4 or 5 wide. So he's given away about 25 runs in 5 wides across 2 matches. So yeah, very impressive from Pakistan, and they've done very well, and go into this India game with a lot of confidence. Yeah, speaking of India, you know what? Like 275, 280. I'm not going to say I was kind of bricking it, but I was a little bit nervous at the halfway stage, right? They've got a score. They actually played quite a coherent innings, did Afghanistan, and they can make life a bit difficult for India. But unfortunately, they didn't bring on Rashid Khan until Rohit Sharma was around 90 or 95, and by then the game was long gone.
Uzeb, any thoughts on Afghanistan's fighting performance?
I think I would agree with Ajay, right? Like Afghanistan tends to be treating India as a friendly matches. I think they are based in India. So it's been like this for the past few years where you see that they don't really put up a fight. Like it seems like they're very casual about it. That's the way I look at it. Like you see them playing against Pakistan or even other Asian teams like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and they are a lot more into it. So maybe there's something about their chemistry or how they feel about those games, or maybe because they're based there, they feel like they owe something to India, or maybe they're just doing it for IPL contract. So I don't know what's happening there. But again, I think there's no match. Let's be honest about it. India is a strong.
You say that, Izzy. The 2019 game, Afghanistan-India, was a humdinger. Like India got restricted to about 220 runs. 220 runs in a 50-over game.
Oh, was
We
that
see
a
more
Shami
runs in a
hat trick
20-over
that
match.
won them? Yeah.
And then again, they have to go get those IPL contracts, right? So they have to show some quality there, right? So it has to be the right balance.
Let's just think about this. What on earth could have gone into the Afghan captain's mind into not having Rashid Khan bowl? Like, if we put the whole friendly matches aside, like, what is the cricketing rationale for doing that? Because it was almost baffling, right?
Exactly.
I could not understand how you couldn't bring Rashid. Okay, forget 10 overs. Okay, bring him in on the 11th if he's so scared of bowling in the 10 overs. But like, he came on the 18th over.
Yes,
Yeah.
especially the kind of start India got,
Yeah.
right? There was no justification to hold him back till that stage.
Reminds me, I mean, Afghan captaincy in a World Cup and it being poor. I remember Gulbadin Naib, the captain in 2019 against Pakistan, decided to keep bowling himself in that first game, and it did not
But
work
you
out, did
know,
it?
in fairness, that's different, right? Because in retrospect, if you went with a spinner for the 50th over in the 48th and it didn't turn out correctly for them, everyone would be criticizing him. How could you bowl a spinner at the end? Right?
Yeah,
Sometimes you give him
but
credit that he backed himself, right? Like,
yeah. Anyways, we're not here for Afghanistan. We're here for India and Pakistan.
Yes.
So let's move on to the big game on Saturday. I'll start off with the only Indian on the panel, who's also the only person wearing his own team shirt, which kind of says a lot about the Pakistanis and their hopes for Saturday. But what are your thoughts? Is it are you one of those arrogant Indians who are saying, yeah, Pakistan, they're going to annihilate Pakistan like in the Asia Cup? Or are you one of those, oh no, we'll see what happens. It's going to be a close one, but on the inside, you're like, yeah, we're going to smash them anyway.
I'll be nice to you. I'll be the second one of them. No, I think in India Pakistan's blockbuster. And I think usually I'm talking in the period between sort of 2015 and let's say 2019, right? India Pakistan was almost always dominated by India, with the exception of that Champions Trophy final, right? And India were clearly the much better side, except for that one day, which was Pakistan's day in the sun. Fakhar Zaman smashed a century, and all hell broke loose, right? I think in the last year or so, Pakistan have become better, and India they've had a patch of poor form over the past couple of years. And India Pakistan has now become a very, very tight rivalry, especially last year when there was a lot of 20 over games. The World Cup match last year was phenomenal, right? It's one of the greatest T20 games ever. And I think even now, um, Pakistan, yes, they've got some poor form, but they've still got 2 wins leading up to the game now. So they've got to be full of confidence. From a cricketing perspective, from a pure cricket match perspective, remove the hype.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great cricket match.
Yeah, and the question for you, right? Like, if you are the Pakistan coach, right? It's a tough job to have, as we.
First, wait, who is the Pakistan coach? Is it Bradford or is it Mickey Arthur? But anyway.
Yes, good question. Let's first get that agreed. But okay, let's say you are the director slash coach slash dictator, whatever. What are you telling your team ahead of that game? Like, what are the key things that they need to do right? Against
For me,
India?
I think it's about focusing on his strengths, right? With Pakistan, I think our strength is our pace bowling. We've got Shaheen Afridi. Obviously, he's got a terrific record against India, and then Hassan Ali, who's been performing well, surprisingly last couple of games. So I think we have to start confident, and we have to target the Indian top order. In the last couple of occasions when we managed to restrict them or beat India, it's been the top order where we have to get 2 or 3 early wickets and then put them under pressure. So I think it's about focusing on our strengths, going in with confidence, keeping it simple, bowling in the right areas, and I think our batting is clicking. The good thing is the middle order is really putting it up. So we have got Rizwan, Iftikhar, both of them are doing quite well, and Babar Azam is due a big knock. So he knows what to do. He's been a bit unlucky in 1 or 2 games where he's got like soft dismissals, but I think he's got a big knock around the corner. But the most important thing for Pakistan is if they take their chances, if they don't drop the catches and they don't make any silly mistakes, I think they are in with a very good chance. They have to focus on Indian top order, get a couple of early wickets, and if they do that, I think it's a open game. But if we let like Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli stick for the 20-25 overs, then it's going to be very difficult to restrict them.
And that's actually a good segue to what I was going to ask Ajay, actually, which is, speaking of India's top order, right? How has that, like, if you compare 2019 to 2023, how has that changed, both in terms of personnel, but also the approach, right? Because in 2019, India was playing, the old-fashioned way of, I remember they were 4 for none after 2 overs, chasing England's daunting score when all of Pakistan was hoping for an Indian win. And then we saw what Dhoni did in the end. But putting that aside, but how has that sort of transcended into this Indian team that we see now?
Personnel wise, if you take the top 3, we still have Rohit Sharma, we still have Virat Kohli, right? We were supposed to have Shubman Gill, who has been in incredible form, but unfortunately he has been struck down by dengue fever. And latest news is that he's traveling to Ahmedabad, which is a good sign. He's out of Chennai. He didn't even make the trip to Delhi, mind you. He's been in Chennai for the past week or so.
I think so. I think he'll automatically
yeah.
recover from his fever when he looks at the Ahmedabad pitch because he'll feel at home.
Yeah, he
That
loves
pitch.
the ground, doesn't he? Absolutely loves it there. Plays for Gujarat as well in the IPL. So personnel-wise, still pretty much the same. I think what's changed a little bit is that Rohit Sharma has decided that he's going to be the aggressor a little bit. So we saw it today, for example, against Afghanistan. He tore into them in the power play, right? Yes, it's Afghanistan, and with all due respect to them, they're not the same quality as a Mitchell Starc or a Shaheen Afridi. But he's the guy who's a little bit more aggressive. Virat Kohli has been, until the past sort of year and a half, his form has not been great, right? And he had to wait 3 years to score an international 100 and so on.
Against Afghanistan.
Yeah, it was, and then of course he came back and then scored that 82 against Pakistan in the World Cup, which completely transformed his year, right? Ishan Kishan's a naturally very aggressive player as well. So he, in that way, it's evolved a little bit from a let's be 50 for none after 10 overs to, when the conditions are right, let's take them on, especially Rohit Sharma in that role. Last World Cup, the number 4 spot was the source of national jokes. I don't know if you guys read the story about Ambati Rayudu, right? He was
the 3D
the number 4. Yeah, he was the number 4 holder for the year or so leading up to the World Cup. Lost a little bit of form. The selectors basically dropped him for a guy called Vijay Shankar, who, with all due respect, really had no business in a World Cup squad. And Ambati Rayudu basically came. I mean, the selectors said that Vijay Shankar bowled a little bit, not a lot. He bowled a little bit. He got
Imamul Haq out. That was his only achievement in the World Cup.
And then he got injured immediately after. So
and Ambati Rayudu came out and said, "Yeah, well, I'm gonna wear 3D glasses and watch this World Cup." After the selectors said that we wanted a 3D player, and that middle order now looks extremely solid. Shreyas Iyer at 4, KL Rahul at 5, Hardik Pandya at 6.
Then I think the real difference then is they're not as reliant on 2 stars, right? I mean, that's
Absolutely.
the whole point.
But I think the real thing that India has really changed, improved on, is their pace bowling. Even on this flattish pitch today against Afghanistan, Bumrah was seaming it early on. Siraj had an off day.
It's quite incredible, right? That they don't have a space for Mohammad Shami in this team.
Yeah,
Mohammad Shami is not getting into the side. Maybe a Shardul Thakur is not quite as good as a seamer, right? But you've got to have a number. I mean, in this day and age, a number 8 that bats is a must. It's a basic necessity of
Sorry, I'm laughing because some of the people on this call have been saying something about bowlers and their batting ability and how they shouldn't play because of their batting ability.
Sorry.
Shadab Khan,
India's an exception because they have 3 number 11.
But anyways, look, I think if you're Rohit Sharma, it's very easy. If you win toss, you're probably going to chase on that pitch. Uzair, if you're Babar Azam, you won the toss. You've seen your team chase 345 against Sri Lanka, but you have the specter of 356 in Colombo. What do you do?
I would back Pakistan to chase as well. Given the conditions, it's, I think, easier to bat under lights, and especially given the way we chased against Sri Lanka. It wasn't a fluke performance. They looked very confident. They chased with 2 overs to spare. So I think that was a very confident performance. And as you mentioned, that was without your best batsman Babar Azam clicking and losing 2 early wickets. So I think the Pakistan team will be very confident, and they would try and replicate the similar sort of performance. Bowl first, try and restrict India ideally under 300, but even if they get to say 320, 330, they will be confident that they can chase it down, especially with the firepower that we have in the lower middle order with Iftikhar, Shadab, Nawaz. So I think if we can retain early, protect wickets, build on that, and then back ourselves to chase 90, 100 in the last 10 overs if we have the wickets in hand. So I think that's the template to go for. I think toss will be key on Saturday's game. Whoever wins the toss, they probably, I would say they have a 10% advantage. And I think both teams will be looking to field first.
We can't not have this and not talk about Shadab Khan and Mohammad and Nawaz, right? So question for you, Uzi, is if you had to pick the 11, would Shadab still stay in?
I think the mix we have in the team now, right? I know Shadab has not been clicking the same way we wanted to him as a bowler, but I think he's bowled reasonably well in the last couple of games, and I would back him. And I think it's a whole combination, right? It's not just the bowling, like I think Zahid pointed out. He's a quite handy batsman who can give you quick runs, and at the same time, if we do lose wicket, and if you are say 4 or 5 down in 35 overs, he can bat for 10 to 15 overs, and I think that's a key skill to have, especially in Pakistani team. And he's a great fielder, which again is a great skill and something which Pakistan needs. So I think he's an all-round cricketer, and we have to back him. I know he's not been a great nick with the ball, but I think it's a flat pitch. So even if you do bring in Usama Mir, he's not really a Saeed Ajmal or like a great spinner who you would like pick. Okay, he will definitely get you 2 or 3 wickets, or he will be able to contain runs. Someone like Hafiz or Shahid Afridi, who used to maybe not take as many wickets, but they will give you like 30-35 runs in 10 overs, so contain that sort of run. So I think Mir is obviously again a leg spinner. He might pick a wicket or two, but he will be expensive, especially against the Indian batting lineup, who are really good players of spin. So I would probably give Mir a chance in Chennai, which is a more of a spin-friendly track, and if Pakistan is not clicking, and if there's a space for him. But in Ahmedabad, which is a much flatter pitch, where we need ability to be able to make quick runs at the back end, I would back Shadab in the 11.
Ajay, would you go with the same team for India?
If Shubman Gill is fit, he walks into the side. But I'm going to assume that having just recovered from dengue, he's touch and go, and probably will not make the team. But it's at least good that he's able to travel, which means that he'll soon come back into the side. The only other spot that's a little bit doubtful is maybe Shardul's spot. Siraj had a bad game against Afghanistan, unfortunately, but Siraj's spot is definitely not under risk. He will come back.
He'll be playing. And look, Shardul Thakur will play. I mean, with 3 number 11s, he just got to play.
They can consider playing Ashwin, but that will mean that they're going to go in with 2 seamers plus Pandya. That's a decision that they'll take, I guess, based on seeing
not
the wicket.
Against Pakistan. I don't think against Pakistan. I don't think that's
I mean, Ashwin's the best bowler against left-handers in the world, but I don't think Pakistan has a lot of left-handers. They've dropped Fakhar Zaman.
Only 2. And Imam will survive. Imam will survive by the time Ashwin comes on.
3
anyway.
if you count Nawaz. If you count Nawaz, it's 3.
Yeah.
But yes,
but anyways, just to wrap up, I think it's not a must-win game for either team because of 1, 2 out of 2. So I think even if one of them loses, they still have a very good chance to qualify. But I'd rather Pakistan take this as a knockout game, because we know if India's batting record in knockout ICC games. I think Pakistan's random fact: Pakistan's reserve opener has more runs than Virat Kohli combined in all his ICC knockout games. In one innings, Fakhar Zaman has scored more. Anyways, but very, very random fact. I had to squeeze that in some way. But look, I don't think we really need to do predictions, because we all know what everyone's going to say. The usual thing that we do on our WhatsApp group: top wicket taker from each team and top run scorer, just to finish it off. And I know what you're going to say, Ajay, in terms of winning, but how about the rest of your predictions?
Look, I'm going to say India probably have the advantage, but I actually think it's going to be a magnificent game. I am going to be biased, and I'll say India will win. But it's going to be a cracking game, I think. In terms of highest run scorer, I'm going to go with Virat Kohli century, and I'm going to go with Kuldeep Yadav, highest wicket taker for India. For Pakistan, let's say Babar Azam's going to get some runs. He's due some. Had an unlucky game against Sri Lanka. I think he flicked one down the leg side and got caught. Babar Azam will score some runs. And I'm going to say that the highest wicket taker is going to be Haris Rauf, because he's going to get a lot of wickets at the death after India pile up a very big score for batting first.
Or do you think India will bat first? Do you think they lose the toss?
I think Pakistan are going to lose the toss.
Great insights to predicting the toss. Uzi, what do you think?
I would say that I think the pressure is on India. They're playing at home. There's going to be a huge crowd. Pakistan is coming full of confidence after a big win. And as you said, it's not a must-win game. I think the expectations for Pakistan Pakistan is relatively low, which normally does well for Pakistan. So people are not considering Pakistan to be favorites, if I'm being honest, but I think that will be at Pakistan's advantage. So they will win. I will have Babar Azam scoring a century for Pakistan, and Shaheen Afridi will get some quick wickets, early wickets, as the highest wicket taker for Pakistan. For India, I think someone from middle order, I would say KL Rahul or Iyer would probably be the highest scorer after Pakistan has got them to 30 for 3. They will have some of a rebuild. Maybe a 50 for KL Rahul. And in bowling, I would say Siraj would probably take a couple of wickets.
The highest score at 50. I mean, that is it's fine. So Pakistan winning, I'm guessing, Yossi.
Yes.
Yeah, so every time I say Pakistan to win, they always don't win. So I'm definitely not going to say it this time. So I'm going to definitely say India to win. But you all know the reasons for me doing that. I think Haris Rauf is going to be your wicket taker. Runs, I honestly, again, I'm not going to say Babar Azam. I actually think Abdullah Shafiq will carry on his form. I mean, that guy his technique is like first class. And I just think Indian bowlers haven't seen him before. It could be quite interesting. Imam, I think, has had too much biryani to do anything. In terms of India, I actually think Pandya is going to... somehow we have something... We gift everything to Pandya on a silver platter. We have Andrew Simons in Australia. We have these random picks for each team that we're just gonna give them nothing but gifts. So Pandya is that guy for India. And I think bowling, I actually think Bumrah. I'm gonna play safe here. I think Bumrah is gonna do it. I actually think Yadav. If Pakistan is watching today, they will know that Yadav, when he gets put under the pump, when he gets put under pressure, he just stutters slightly. So I think that's the way. That'll be positive.
I think Heart Pakistan wins. I'm going with Saud Shakil top scorer. He's going to save top order collapse and end up saving Pakistan. Haris Rauf bowling into death, taking wickets. If Shubman Gill plays, I think he will be India's top scorer because again he will be ill, and Pakistan are very good at getting people who are ill or out of form or injured back into form, like they did to David Warner in 2019, like they've done with countless other batsmen. And I think Jasprit Bumrah for India will
Matthew Wade.
Matthew Wade.
One question. One question for good measure. What over do you think Rohit Sharma will be out in?
11.
Shaheen Afridi's second over, so third over.
18th over.
Same, third over. I'm the same. Third over.
I'm going
18th over.
I'm going
18th over.
I'm going 11. I'll go 11 after the power play.
Last word, guys. On the Hyderabad crowd, honestly, that was absolutely brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was the night the World Cup came alive. The stadium announcer was going "Jeetega bhai Jeetega," and the entire crowd together was going "Pakistan Jeetega," and I was like, this is one of the moments of the World Cup. That's
But I'm sure it'll happen again in Ahmedabad, no?
110,000 people, right?
All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. Really appreciate taking the time. Really had fun. All the best. And at the end, as Ravi Shashi says, cricket is the winner.